Welcome to the Tudor Dixon podcast. I'm Tudor Dixon, and I'm glad you're joining me today because I am super excited about our guest. He grew up in Brooklyn, the son of a single mom, graduated from Florida State, and now he's a congressman for Florida's 19th district. Congressman Byron Donalds, thank you for joining me today.
It's good to be with you. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited. Well, look, the first thing is that, we want to do everything possible to save every life. I think abortion has really been a scourge in our country. Especially in the Black communities, the amount of babies that have been aborted. Just think about the Black population in America could have actually grown substantially over that time. So it's been a very personal topic, very divisive topic in our country. But the one thing you are correct in is that for 50 years, the left has positioned this issue as if it's a right, without balancing it amongst the other rights, like the right of the unborn to live, the right for a lot of other things. And so when they've done that, frankly, unfortunately, quite successfully for so long, you have a lot of people who really believe that to be the case. So my view is that it's going to take time for the country to understand the new politics of abortion and what that sweet spot is. And it's really going to take time, I think, for pro-life activists to see the world they want to see, because people now have to live in the new reality of the 50 states making decisions. And so it takes time for the politics of that to center around where the culture is. Ben Shapiro, love him, listen to him a lot. He always says, politics is downstream from culture. Abortion is no different. And the tragedy in the United States is abortion has become a part of our culture. The positives is that there are a lot of young people who are actually pro-life. Like, they want to save lives. They want to have their children. They don't want to seek abortion. And so I think that it's going to take us time to move into this new realm of the new politics, I guess you would say, of abortion and what that means in the United States. I think where it's really going to end up is California. It's frankly going to be abortion till birth, and same as New York, maybe same as Oregon and Washington State, Mississippi, Alabama. It's going to be no, we're not allowing abortions, or 6 weeks, which is the law in Florida now, or 10 weeks in some states. And you're really going to have a hybrid approach. What I think is going to happen is America is going to slowly downshift much more to what the standards are in Europe, which is where you have anywhere from 10 to 12 weeks. And in some states, it's going to be less than that.
Well, I think that's something that folks need to understand, is that this is an ongoing battle. It's an ongoing discussion between both of the sides. And that, like I said, just because Roe v. Wade was overturned, that didn't mean that abortion was gone. It certainly is something that has become ingrained in our culture. And that's something that if you want to start saving life, you have to save life over time. And even in the federal government, why not go after that? These banks that are saying you will be deplatformed, all of these places that are threatening businesses to be deplatformed, and really taking away that ability for capitalism. Because, my opinion, and I've heard a lot of people say this, is, gosh, if you start to go woke, if you start to do what Bud Light has done, or Ulta, or Disney, then capitalism could take care of that, because people will say, well, wait a minute, I'm not going to pay $15,000 a week to go to Disney if you're going to tell my kids that they should do this, this, and this. But we're going after individual businesses. Why not go after those platforms that say you must do this or you no longer get to bank? Why not go after that?
Actually, I think that's a good point. It's something at the federal level we're starting to look at. I'm actually on the ESG working group where we're digging into these various issues, and whether that's reining in the SEC, who's trying to push all this stuff through rulemaking. It's pretty insidious. You have SEC chairman and Gary Gensler, who's creating all these rules out of thin air. Congress never gave him the ability to do it, to force corporate America to disclose all these actions, some of which the woke corporations are pushing forward. And it's because the woke corporations are pushing it. They're saying everybody has to be a part of this game. And that's the stuff at the federal level we're trying to unwind and say, no, you can't do that. You have the state of material things. You have to be focused, frankly, on your fiduciary responsibility, which is earning money for your shareholders, etc. I think if you go to this whole thing about people being deplatformed, that's another area, especially in a financial system, where at the federal level, we have to engage in that, because you are hampering and you're causing damage to interstate commerce. I think that's the appropriate use of law, where you go back in and you clearly lay out what the rules of the road are, that the fiduciary responsibility absolutely matters first, second, and third. And this novel, ridiculous concept of stakeholder capitalism makes no sense at all, because what you end up doing is having a company get off the main mission and get into these other areas where they actually hurt their business model. Disney has hurt themselves in this stuff. People have not been subscribing to Disney Plus. I was a Disney Plus subscriber. I canceled my subscription. A lot of families did. We all saw what happened with Bud Light. Now the other person is now on leave or whatever the case is going on. You mentioned Delta, Nike. Nike's going to have that problem too, because there are a lot of people saying, I'm not giving you guys like money if you're going to like shove this stuff down our throat. I think it does work, but you got to have Republican politicians who point this stuff out and do everything they can from a legal perspective to set the playing field correctly and not allow the radical left to use our Constitution and to use our capitalist system to undermine it.
Yeah, because I think there's so much behind the scenes that people don't see. And I think sometimes when we say we'll go after one individual and we don't go after the seedy underbelly, then it continues to happen and people don't realize it. And I think this is even happening on a greater level when you talk about activism and groups that are fighting. You have school choice groups, some school choice activists have had these people that go after them. I know one person who has someone that goes after him on all of his social media. So they go, PayPal, do you know that this person does this? And they're an activist, and they've been deplatformed personally from Cash App, from PayPal, from all of the online payment systems. And he's like, my life has been totally destroyed by these people. And I want to be able to say, you can't do this. You cannot force people to deplatform someone because of their political views. Do you think that's something that can happen? Because I think it's just annihilating Republicans and conservatives.
I think so. And I think there's a pathway to get there. The thing to be careful about is now is the arm of government being used to decide which company is good, which company is bad, which is why I say you have to, in a lot of respects, reset the playing field of what is a fiduciary standard. I think that's the right place to land, because then if you clearly state out what the fiduciary standard is, whether it's federal law or state law, frankly, I think it should be in both places, then it puts the companies on notice that you actually have to do what's in the best interest of the company and not using the power, the corporate power, to wield against your political opponents. This is one of these things where, Republicans, we're late to the game on this. We're figuring all this stuff out on the fly during COVID-19. Meanwhile, the radical left, they have been positioning themselves to do these things. You have somebody like AOC who basically said that, it's great that Tucker Carlson lost his job. Deplatforming works. I think that's insidious and reprehensible. Our country relies on people being able to speak their mind and to have their opinions and have their beliefs and have it respected, regardless if you agree or not. And I think when that moves into economics, it's terrible.
A lot of this technology stuff, we're late to the game. I would say that we're just figuring out what Silicon Valley has known and been helping the Democrats with for a long time.
I think Joe Biden's terrible at his job, personally. He sucks as a president. So this is all he's got. And, his new code word of MAGA Republicans, I guess I'm a MAGA Republican. I'm a Tea Party Republican, whatever you want to say. But the truth is, MAGA Republicans, we're the ones who are actually fighting for the soul of America. We don't want an America where you have elements of our government suppressing free speech. We don't want an America where the Treasury Department is going to be looking in your bank account, seeing how you spend your money. We don't want an America with 80,000 more IRS agents who are frankly going after middle income Americans, making sure people who are in the gig economy are issued 1099s and then going after all their money. We don't want that. We don't want an America where our border's wide open and fentanyl's killing 80,000 people a year in our country, and you have young girls being sold into sex slavery. Those are the things that we don't want. We want a free-flowing economy. We want people to be respected and for tolerance to reign in our country. We want to live in harmony and peace. But the reason why he can't say any of those things is he doesn't believe them. You see, Joe Biden believes in an America where his radical kook staffers at the White House, they're the ones who decide for everybody else. And for the young voters in America who, watch TikTok and get caught up with these influencers who frankly don't even know what they're talking about, understand that Joe Biden and the radical left, they don't want you to decide things for yourself. They want you to sit down and listen and be told what to do. Republicans want a society where your choices are your own and you live by your choices and you earn money and you earn prosperity and you have a flourishing life.
Well, you mentioned tolerance and peace, and they're pushing that, but your own family has experienced the intolerance of the left. You're a Black American. Your wife is a white American. That, for some reason, seems to be an issue with them.
Yeah, it is. It's actually kind of interesting because they swear that they're the ones who are fighting for everybody's rights. But then at the same time, they get upset about my marital situation. I don't really get into that because if you start to look at the country, you're seeing a lot more mixed marriages in the country. Everybody sees it. And a lot of these young kids that we talk about, they go to school with Black kids, white kids, Hispanic kids. At their age, they don't even engage in this stuff. But it is the political class that tries to make it an issue. It's these people who are these political influencers on the left who try to say, oh, see, he's not really Black because look at his wife. I would actually tell those people that they wouldn't say it to my face, because if they actually met me in public and saw me, they would be like, nah, I don't think I'm gonna talk to him. I'm just being honest. They just wouldn't do it personally. They like to do it on Twitter, where nobody knows who they are. They hide behind, some fictitious name, whatever. But yeah, I don't really care about what they say. I look at what happens when I deal with people. People in the country, we're good to each other. People just want to be respected and they just want to live in peace. And I think that that's the America that I want to see.
Thank you for your wise words today. And thank you for all of the work you do for us in the federal government. Congressman Byron Donalds, I appreciate having you.
Hey, no problem. Anyway, thanks for having me on. It was great.
Yes, thank you. And thank you all for joining me on the Tudor Dixon podcast. For this episode and others, go to TudorDixonPodcast.com. You can subscribe right there and make sure you join us the next time on the Tudor Dixon podcast. Have a great day.